Today, I'm going to be reviewing the Moondrop Blessing 2, but I'm not going to be doing a normal review. I'm going to look at it from three different perspectives: at home, on stage, and at a personal home drum studio. So let's look a little bit closer at the Moondrop Blessing 2. This is Audio In Reviews. Okay, let's talk about the build, design, comfort, and isolation of the Blessing 2. We'll go over the build first. It's a 3D printed shell, and as you can see, it's quite nice. You can see the drivers and the tuning chambers inside. Has a obviously metal faceplate. One is blank. The blank one actually can be personalized. I believe they have 8 different designs to choose from, plus some wood variants that you can choose from. I believe those are red and blue. You can either get both blue, both turquoise, both red, or you can mix and match. These have 2-pin connectors, which I like, and these are a hybrid. So they're comprised of 4 BA drivers for mids and highs, and they have a dynamic driver, which you can kind of see in there, which handles the bass frequencies. As far as comfort, I've had no issues with comfort at all. I know that these people who have smaller ears may have some discomfort issues. These fit in my ears quite nicely. Once I get them in place, they are secure. As far as isolation, they isolate quite well. They do have a large borehole, so some people, again, with smaller ears might have an issue with this borehole size. So as far as the cable, given the price range, I don't think that this is an inappropriate pairing. I think they did good with pairing the cable with the in-ear monitor. I like the design. I think it's quite nice. One thing I liked about the S8 was the sleek, kind of minimalistic approach. I think they did a good job on this one also. I like that sleek, minimalistic look on this. The silver faceplate is really nice. Okay, let's talk about the sound of the Blessing 2. The Critical gave these a very high rating. As a matter of fact, for the tone, he gave these an S rating, which is quite impressive, especially in the $320 price range. If you look at the graph, what you'll notice is starting from bass going to treble is starting at about 70 hertz. There is a slight downward slope all the way to around 900 hertz. Then it starts to have a sharp upward curve, peaking at, it's about a 10 dB peak at about 2800 hertz, then back down again. And then there's another small peak right at around 8K. And then from that point, it starts to slowly slope down. So past the 10K point, there's not a whole lot going on until you get to about 18,000 hertz. Then there's a small peak. The way I hear that, it comes across quite neutral, with maybe a slight emphasis on bass. But working my way from the bass to the treble, the bass, I like it a lot. I think that dynamic driver is doing an excellent job handling the bass. I'm glad that they did the hybrid approach. Of course, the BA driver can be a little tighter, faster, but again, with what they did with the dynamic driver and the bass it has layering texture. It's nice and deep, good extension, and so the bass is quite nice. Mids, again, neutral, detailed, very, very detailed. Moving into the treble, that's where as a drummer I tend to like a little more of the higher frequencies, but not too much. Being a drummer, I like to hear the sizzle in the hi-hat. I like to hear the crashes past the 10K point. Seems like it's just missing a little air past 10K. And there is the little 18K peak. So I think that helps a little bit to bring out a little bit of that sizzle and that I like to hear. One thing I noticed is there is a slight timbre issue, BA timbre issue. BA, of course, we all know that BAs can struggle a little bit with the proper instrument timbre. I did notice it a little bit on certain recordings, but just slightly. And for the most part, I didn't notice it at all. There's a recording by Brian Culbertson. He's a piano player. Normally he does kind of poppy contemporary jazz, but he has a couple of acoustic projects that he did. And I can't remember the name of the album I was listening to, but the first song, upright bass, piano, drums, little percussion, and I think some acoustic guitar. The piano comes across quite nicely, naturally. Guitar sounds good. Upright bass sounds really nice. So, but in that recording, there you can kind of tell there's the timbre's not quite perfect, but really good. Okay, as far as soundstage and imaging, these do a great job. Yeah, that same Brian Culbertson recording, that's again a good recording. The instrument placement is very precise. I can tell where the drums are. I can tell where the piano is, where the upright bass is, and the presentation of these is quite wide. So I think it does a very good job with overall soundstage imaging and instrument placement. So for personal listening, I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of these. Again, when you look at the overall package, the comfort, fit, build, design, the tonality, just everything. These are for $320. Man, I tell you, that is a great value. The Blessing 2 is really impressive. I like these a lot. Let's talk a little bit about stage use. I got to use these in a couple of different settings. The first setting was on stage with my band doing a recording the other night, and that is actually on an electric drum kit. It's a Roland TD50, I believe. So it's a good kit. Of course, being an acoustic drummer, I think most drummers who come from an acoustic kit trying to switch over to an electric kit, we all would prefer an acoustic kit. However, that being said, the TD50 is a nice, very nice electric set. So there's lots of ways you can tweak the sounds. You can really personalize it to whatever sound you like. The biggest thing for me, I think, is just the overall feel when the stick hits a mesh pad as opposed to a skin. It's just a different feeling, and there's also, you kind of lose that organic sound. The positives, though, if you look at a drum kit, protecting your hearing, that's one thing. Usually when you use an electric drum kit as opposed to an acoustic set, it helps out a lot with stage noise. Which that's one of the reasons we had switched over. We kind of got away from the floor wedges and went to an in-ear monitor system, was to get rid of a lot of the stage noise. So it helps your hearing. It also helps the sound guy doing the house mix. And another thing is, again, going with the in-ear monitor route, you can really, with a good setup, you can really personalize your mix. But you're going to be kind of limited depending on what your in-ear monitor choice is. A lot of people, I see them using their iPhone buds or the whatever buds came with their phone, or they get maybe a more of a budget type in-ear monitor, which is fine. I think for some people, my wife, she's perfectly fine with that. She's a vocalist, plays piano, so it works for some. Bass players and drummers. Drums are, you got to be really careful with just picking any old in-ear monitor system. For me, in-ear monitor, for me personally, I prefer something with a little more bass. So that being said, these actually did quite well on stage, believe it or not, as an in-ear monitor. The kick was the low, you had the attack from the kick with the low extension. The floor toms sounded really good with this. The cymbals sounded really good. One of the things I talked about in the S8 video is how musicians might be looking for some of the same attributes in an in-ear monitor that maybe an audiophile would, as far as instrument separation, sound stage, and just overall that feeling of just kind of an open stage. Sometimes when you're using an in-ear monitor, one of the biggest challenges for a lot of people going from a floor wedge to an in-ear monitor can be that feeling of everything's kind of congested in your head. So if you have a decent setup on stage, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll put up ambient mics on either far side of the stage, facing the crowd, sometimes in the back, and the in-ear, that's all fed into your in-ear monitor system. And you can, if you know how to set up your in-ear monitor mix properly, generally what you'll do is you'll turn those ambients up and you'll pan them far left and far right. And what that'll do is that'll open up the space in your head. So that being said, and then also what you have to do is you have to pan your other musicians' instruments and vocals a little bit left and right. Again, depending on how much of a separation you want. For me personally, typically what I'll do is I'll pan my acoustic a little to the left, electric a little to the right, piano closer to the center, vocals closer to the center, bass center, and then I'll have my drum set, of course, my hi-hat a little bit to the left, ride a little bit to the right. And then, so I have my personal panning preference. So by the time I do all of my panning, all of my level adjustments, and then bring my ambience into the mix, I have a fairly good mix. And again, going back to the protecting your hearing, I can actually control the volume of that. So going back to the performance of these as in-ear monitors, these again fit. One of the things I need is good fit because I'm moving around a lot. These actually fit quite well and they stayed in place once I got them in place. I did not use this cable. One thing I did not like about this cable was it does not have a chin cinch. Typically what I'll do is I'll go behind my head and put them in like this and tighten it up against the back of my head. I can't have the cable in front of me when I'm playing drums. So I had to use a different cable that had a cinch on. Once I got these into place, I plugged it into my belt pack and I had no issues almost the entire night. And we were there for about 3.5 hours. Also got to use these with an acoustic kit at my buddy Shane's house. He was kind enough to let my brother and I come over and test these out there and hang out for a while. Had a great time. The guy's got an amazing setup with lots of different snares, cymbals, 2 different drum sets, and a pretty cool little setup as far as being able to use the in-ear monitors. So got to use these in that setting as well with an acoustic set. I had to kind of to try it out on both to see how these would work in different settings, because for those of you who might have a home drum studio who want to maybe do some your recording or collaborations, I had to make sure these would work in that type of application as well. And these did a fine job with acoustic drums also. Of course, you have to have proper miking and a good little mixing board. I did notice that when Shane and I were playing at the same time, with his kick and my kick and the music coming in the background, the bass kind of overwhelmed these a little bit. But I don't think that was the fault of the in-ear monitor itself. I think it was just the overall amount of I think we were just overdriving them basically, a little too much. But so I've had quite an interesting experience with these Blessing 2s, being able to use them at home for personal use, being able to use them on an electric drum set for a live stage performance, being able to use them in a drum studio. These did well across the board. Again, for $320, these are a great value. Now going back a little bit, I also used the S8s. I was going back and forth between these and the Moondrop S8s because I just wanted to see what kind of difference, and there were some differences. But overall, performance-wise, all the things that I needed on stage and in that drum studio, I was able to get from these. So once again, Moondrop, I think, nailed it with these. They did an excellent job. These are an incredible, incredible value. So thank you so much for watching my sound review. Please subscribe, like, and share the video. Have a great day.